Here's my story. I'm a 57-year-old man, married to my wife for almost 30 years. We had a smooth, uneventful marriage, with shared hobbies and compatible values. We have two successful adult children, aged 27 and 24. Out of the blue, my wife told me on June 17th that she's unhappy and wants a divorce. She revealed she had been seeing someone else for over 18 months, hiding it by claiming to go out with friends. She quickly moved out and is living with her new partner. There were some warning signs, like her distracted behavior during phone calls, but I dismissed them. She was incredibly adept at keeping her two lives separate, even avoiding toll passes to hide her trips to see him in another state. I'm devastated, unable to sleep, lost weight, and my health is suffering. My wife lacks empathy, and her family, who used to be close to me, has sided with me. My kids have been my support, and they're deeply disappointed in their mother. I don't see a way forward with her. We've been agreeable on property division, but I suspect she's protecting her interests. I'm focused on regaining my health and peace of mind, and we're communicating via email now. Update: I've learned who the other man is through my mother-in-law. He and my wife worked together for over 20 years, although she left that job 4 years ago. While they worked in the same department sometimes, they weren't in the same department towards the end. They haven't worked together for the past 4 years. There's a group of 6 to 8 colleagues, including WW and OM, who used to work there and occasionally get together. OM's oldest child and my youngest are the same age. They used to go on trips to amusement parks when their kids were little, and I'd be there too. OM has been divorced for about 8 to 10 years. I know that WW used to be a sounding board for OM during his divorce while they were at work. At that time, I believe it was just that, a supportive friendship. My suspicion is that WW expressed her unhappiness with our marriage during one of these group get-togethers, and OM, who had gone through a divorce, offered support. This might have led to longer talks and eventually an affair. She's typically out of his league in terms of class, style, and looks for her age. He saw an opportunity and played on her emotions, making her feel validated and attractive. He and I are complete opposites in terms of political views, religions, and values. I've heard the phrase "they always affair down," and in this case, it seems to fit. I can't help but wonder, she left me for that guy? This affair is more complex than a typical one due to their long history and close connection, which makes it challenging to process. Living together and working closely every day is a whole different level of involvement. I haven't had a good day today. My mind keeps going back to the fact that I never had a chance to save our relationship, even before the affair. She mentioned being unhappy but never really talked about it. At that time, there was still so much good between us, and I would have done everything to improve communication, attend therapy, or anything else. I'm not the best at expressing my feelings, and I'm generally a quiet person. I had accepted that our intimacy wasn't as strong as it used to be, but I was fine with that because I loved her deeply and believed in the power of true love. I'm really missing that woman today. Thanks for all your thoughts today, everyone. Well, things didn't go as planned today, and the outcome was a bit unexpected. The financial matters went smoothly, and she briefly came to the house to collect some things. I remained very calm and engaged in limited conversation. I've decided to stay in the house for at least the next 6 to 8 months until I decide whether to keep it or not. During our conversation about the house, she suggested it would be nice for the 4 of us to get together for Christmas there. I was taken aback and calmly told her, "You're either in my life as my loving, faithful, committed wife, or you're completely out of my life so I can heal and move forward." She knows she didn't choose option 1, so there's no cake eating. This made her cry a lot, but I didn't say anything. Since her new partner is Jewish, there won't be a Christmas celebration there, and she loves Christmas. I think she's starting to realize the extent of her mistake, and the facade is cracking. I can't believe she thought she could have it both ways, even though I know it's a common cheater tactic. She left so decisively a month ago. It looks like her new partner will have his hands full tonight. She mentioned that she's going to start therapy, which is a positive step. I hope it helps her. I had a rough night's sleep, and it made my day even more challenging because I had to attend my uncle's funeral. Funerals are emotionally draining, even when you're well rested. Watching my aunt cry today was heart-wrenching. She lost a wonderful man who was incredibly caring and loving. At 86, I worry that she won't be far behind him. I also saw my cousin's widow, who lost her husband to cancer about 10 years ago when he was just 50. He was like a big brother to me when I was a kid, and she's a fantastic person who lost a great husband and father. This made me think about how both of these women would do anything to have their spouses back and how much they cherished and loved them. My wife had that kind of love and dedication, and she threw it away. It was nice to reconnect with extended family, and I'm determined to stay closer to them, especially since my sisters live far away. I need good people like them in my life. On the way home, my sister shared what one of our female cousins said about my wife. "I didn't know her well, but she always seemed so cold." I'm hearing similar comments about her now. Met with WW today to go over the settlement agreement. Without going into details, I did quite well overall, ending up with more than I initially expected. She agreed with almost everything, with only one minor point to negotiate. She seemed surprised that I had initiated the divorce proceedings since she was the one who had originally brought up divorce on D-Day but never took any action. I told her I couldn't continue living in limbo with a wife involved with another man. She was oddly cheerful and talkative today, more so than her usual reserved self. It was a bit strange. I tried not to engage too deeply and remained calm. She made it clear that she has moved on with her affair partner, although I hadn't asked. She's still unhappy with the strained relationship with one of our sons and complete silence from the other, as well as her parents. It sounds like she's done with them. She did visit her brother over the weekend, which was expected. She mentioned not hearing from the other brother, although my sister-in-law reached out to me the other day to check on how I was doing. The tough part was that I hadn't seen her in a month, and despite all the pain, the emotions came rushing back. She looked pretty today, and it hurt to see that. I couldn't help but see the woman I thought she was before all of this, maybe because she was unusually nice today. I'm trying to remind myself of what she's done, but it was a challenging moment, and I'm struggling emotionally tonight, feeling very depressed, which I haven't in a while. This situation just sucks. Not much new to report here. Still working on improving my sleep and reducing stress. My family continues to provide amazing support, especially my sisters, who are always there when I need to talk. Out of the blue, my wife sent me a text a few days ago, the first contact in a few weeks, with a link to an article about someone we both know who recently had legal trouble. She said, "Thought you might find this interesting." Seriously? This situation highlights the drawback of affair relationships for older adults in their mid-50s, a lack of shared history. Her affair partner has no idea about this person or much about her life, so she couldn't share it with him. I had a snarky reply ready, like, yeah, the world is full of lousy people, but I wisely chose to remain no contact. My attorney mentioned that she'll likely serve her with divorce papers next week. It can be done via certified mail, but my attorney has had issues with the cards coming back. I'm actually somewhat glad that a process server will deliver the papers to her door. I could have suggested serving her at work, but that might upset WW, and I need to keep things calm since we currently have a favorable settlement agreement in principle. WW gets quite upset when things bother her. I'm not exactly dreading the holidays, but there will be a lot of memories that come up, which will be really tough. For example, our collection of Christmas tree ornaments is filled with history, stories, and mementos from places we visited. It's still a while away, but I'm debating how to handle that. Decorating the tree used to be a family event, and it's not easy to think about potentially going through all those items and dividing them with my wife. Regarding my sleep, I appreciate all the suggestions, and I've tried many of them. The problem is that I fall asleep relatively easily, usually within 10 minutes, but I have trouble later in the night. As a 57-year-old, I have to get up once a night, and when that inevitably happens, I struggle to get back to sleep. It might be 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and so on. I've covered the clock now because I hate knowing the time. It's during that part of the night when I attempt to get back to sleep that I sometimes doze off and have intrusive dreams, which wake me up. I'm going to discuss this with my therapist this week, and hopefully, the sleep specialist can provide more help on the 30th. Thanks, everyone. Dealing with COVID hasn't been too bad, it's been like a bad cold. I'm feeling pretty good today. The last time I had it about a year ago, I got extremely fatigued and was a bit sicker. I got tested this time because I was around my mother-in-law and father-in-law on Saturday. Surprisingly, I've slept a bit better in the last few nights. Maybe being sick has helped. In other news, my oldest child has now spoken to my wife. She called him, he missed it, and called her back. It didn't go well. He was at my house at the time, taking the call in the backyard. I wasn't eavesdropping, but I overheard a lot with the windows open. He confronted her strongly and still, there was no empathy for what I've been through. He told me afterward that the conversation went from her crying hysterically to talking almost detached, like she was reading from a prepared note or as if she had been coached. There were a lot of buzzwords, he said. He mentioned she sounded like she's losing it, especially with her noticeable mood swings during the call. He doesn't plan to talk to her again anytime soon. My mother-in-law called me last night. My father-in-law is in the hospital with some type of kidney blockage. She's really worried about how he's handling everything. She asked if I plan to tell my wife about her father being in the hospital, and I said no, as we're not in contact. She assumes my wife will hear about it from her siblings at some point. I've noticed that my father-in-law has been quite quiet about the whole situation lately, and she mentioned that he's internalizing a lot of pain. I can see it too. To my eyes, he looks like he's aged a lot in these last 3 months. I hope he's going to be okay. At this point, I'm just so saddened. I can't believe the extent of the collateral damage in this situation. This is going to be quite lengthy. Not once did my wife express her unhappiness. There were no signs, zero, nada, not even arguments or cold shoulder. Everything appeared normal on the surface. People in good marriages sometimes cheat, and it's usually because of a major flaw on the cheater's part. Even if she truly was unhappy, I'm not a mind reader. Yes, she could get moody, but that's been the case for our entire 30 years together. I used to get up early to go fishing, often returning home before her day began, so I wasn't selfish with my time, trying to create opportunities for us to spend time together. However, that was like pulling teeth. She doesn't have interests beyond shopping, watching TV, and playing golf. My sister recently raised an interesting point about the perfect storm of both sons leaving, COVID restrictions, conflicts with her family and boss, increased alcohol consumption, and menopause. In mid-2020, after my youngest left for college, she began spending more time with her former coworkers, including the other man. I didn't think much of it at the time, but that's when it all began. We all know how slippery the slope into an emotional affair can be, especially with someone you've known for a while who used you as a sounding board during their divorce. I can almost script exactly how it happened. In terms of her specific personality traits, she has several that play a role in her actions. First, she's never wrong. I believe this goes a long way toward her refusal to admit any wrongdoing and her stubbornness, even when confronted by our son, who called her actions wrong, to which she responded it was his opinion. Second, she's conflict avoidant, which might explain why she never voiced her unhappiness. That's not how mature adults should deal with relationship issues, in my opinion. I can't understand how our perceptions of the state of our marriage could be so different. She took the easy, cowardly way out, causing real emotional, physical, and mental damage to me. There's no remorse, no shame, no regret, she simply quit. But here's the kicker, she told her sibling she was going to leave a year ago. Why not then? I'll tell you why. She didn't fully have OM locked in yet, and the monkey branch wasn't set up. If you genuinely want to leave, then do it. Live on your own, work on your issues, and maybe start a new relationship. That would have required more effort and honesty than she was willing to put in. I was the only one there when she dropped the bombshell and discarded me out of the blue. I've never seen so much venom in my life. She literally changed her attitude within moments after we had a normal lunch together. I was in shock, lying on the couch in a heap, and she basically stepped over me to do laundry. That's sociopathic behavior right there. She never attempted to console me or express any remorse. I didn't sleep a wink that night while she slept in my son's old room. At one point, I was looking for Tylenol PM to help me sleep. Apparently, she heard me, because in the morning, she said, I was worried when I heard you in there with the pills. So worried that she never bothered to check if maybe I was trying to overdose. Save me the false concern. This is the person I'm dealing with. Now, regarding her parents and our sons, it's essential to understand that no one on this forum fully knows the dynamics of this family, even after all I've shared. Her parents have their hang-ups. First, her father is an incredibly moral person who can't get over the fact that she committed long-term adultery and then doubled down on D-Day by moving in with OM, all while we are still married. He has seen her for what she is, a pathological liar and manipulator. Her mother agrees, but also can't get past WW's cold and sudden discard of me, like a used bag of trash. After they communicated the day after D-Day, WW stated, it didn't go well, I couldn't leave, but I stand by all my actions. That's when MIL was done. To be frank, MIL even likes me more than her own daughter, so she's upset as if one of her own children was betrayed. In short, she hurt someone they love like a son. It's possible to be upset with someone's actions and still care about them. I admire the fact that they didn't play the blood is thicker than water game and try to rationalize their daughter's actions. They've taken a principled stand. In essence, they believe that their daughter has behaved horribly and have chosen, independently, not to have anything to do with her. FIL was in the hospital this week, and it could have been a perfect opportunity for WW to reach out, inquire about his well-being, and attempt to mend things. However, she didn't make any effort. Once she decides someone has crossed her, she essentially writes them off. The last time she and I discussed this, around 7 weeks ago, she said, they know my number. As for my sons, they now see her as the biggest hypocrite. This is a woman who emphasized the importance of morality and virtue. We spent a small fortune sending them to Catholic school for that very reason. My youngest was deeply disappointed that, immediately after D-Day, she moved in with OM with no effort to make amends, change her actions, or admit wrongdoing. They've lost all respect for her, and she deserves the consequences of a strained relationship with them as a result. Actions have consequences. Even before my oldest finally spoke to her last week, her efforts were minimal, usually sending random texts disconnected from reality. I would have gone to great lengths to repair my relationship with my children, even crawling through broken glass if necessary. But she was too busy in fantasy land. When she complained to her brother about them, it was always about how it affected her, not how her children might be feeling about how she willingly hurt their father. Here's another story that illustrates her utter selfishness. My eldest moved into his new apartment last June and invited her multiple times to see it and have dinner, perhaps on a night I was away for work. She never went. It all makes sense now, as those nights I was away, she was busy with OM. This was an evident act of selfishness that deeply hurt him. In conclusion, she made terrible choices and now has to face the consequences. Prioritizing her happiness at the expense of another person is selfish, entitled, and hurtful behavior. Neither my sons nor her parents are suggesting she stay in the marriage and be unhappy. I would lose the respect of all of them if I took her back, and that's more important to me than anything. Marriage is a significant commitment, and I took my vows seriously. Everyone experiences unhappiness at times, especially after 30 years, when the initial infatuation love has faded. That mature love, which requires respect and selflessness, clearly didn't resonate with her, and she didn't put in the emotional effort required for growth. She's acting like a 16-year-old with their first crush, going out drinking and such, which she never did before. It's ridiculous, considering her absurd statement on D-Day that we just aren't compatible. You're figuring that out now? I was certainly compatible during all the years of raising children, providing for our family, and sending them to private school, among other things. Literally thousands of nights on the road for work, doing the right thing for my family. The cheating, lying, and sneaking around happened while I was away on business, which is rife with opportunities for infidelity. It never once crossed my mind. WW has revealed herself as an immature, entitled, and selfish person. It will take me a long time to forgive and forget, and we will not be friends. I won't have a relationship with someone who did what she did to me. The rest of them can navigate those dynamics on their terms. My son was very clear to her during their phone call about the damage she's done to me: depression, insomnia, anxiety, and his concern for my well-being. He checks on me every day and tries to see me once a week. She didn't care. When someone lacks empathy to such an extent and dismisses a son's concern about their father's well-being, they deserve every bit of the scorn they receive. Their behavior makes them a bad person. I appreciate the suggestions, they're all helpful. Sleep might have improved a bit over the past week, and I'm grateful for that. Today was bittersweet. My oldest son got a new job about a month ago, a fantastic opportunity with a nice pay increase. He moved today as he starts next Monday. In a short time, he managed everything, from getting out of his old lease to finding a new place and packing up. His new job is in the Boston area, about 6 hours away, while he was just 45 minutes away here. We had a nice dinner together last night. I am so thankful for both of my sons throughout all of this. We don't really discuss what happened much because it isn't their burden. They're simply there for me. My oldest calls me every day to check how I'm feeling, mainly focusing on my sleep. He offers little tidbits to keep my spirits up. They have no idea how much it means to me. I had to drop something off at my in-laws' house the other day, and unsolicited, my mother-in-law told me how both my boys have repeatedly mentioned over the years what a good dad I've been. Maybe she's bitter about WW, but she also mentioned they never said the same about her. Regarding the divorce, there's nothing new to report. It's a waiting game now. I'm maintaining no contact, and I don't see a reason to break it at this point. I'm taking it day by day in my healing process. People around me have mentioned that they see me improving slightly, and even though I don't feel like I've turned a significant corner, maybe they're right. WW still occupies too much of my headspace subconsciously, but I'm working to push those thoughts out a little more each day. I'm fully aware of how raw things still are. I'm checking back in after a few weeks on SI. Today is a really tough day for me. It's our 30th wedding anniversary, and I've been thinking about it a lot, which is bringing me down. I genuinely meant every word I said in those vows on that day, but clearly, she didn't. Unfortunately, my sleep has worsened again with all this on my mind. My youngest is going to have dinner with me tonight to help take my mind off things. I hope it helps because I'm struggling to find joy in anything right now. I'm keeping busy with activities, but I constantly feel empty. In other news, my second sister is now coming for Thanksgiving, which was a pleasant surprise. I'll have all my important people around me. WW, not being familiar with my oldest son's new job, texted him that she'd come up to Massachusetts to make him Thanksgiving dinner. He told her he would be here with us, and that clearly affected her. It's only going to get worse at Christmas because she won't see either of them then either. The consequences are rapidly piling up, and she's torn apart so much in the whole family that can never truly be fixed. Once that genie is out of the bottle, you can't put it back. I know that selfishness is the hallmark of cheaters, but the fact that they can't see the fallout when they engage in this behavior is mind-boggling. Maybe they genuinely just don't care. On another note, I'm starting EMDR therapy this week to help address the trauma. I hope it helps. Hello everyone, it's been a while, so I wanted to drop by for a quick update. My divorce was finalized just after the first of the year, and life is good. My sons and I continue to have a great relationship, and we don't make this the center of anything anymore since I'm not really thinking about it. I've been no contact with my ex since December, and she's completely off my mental radar. Towards the end of December, as I finished my EMDR therapy, I asked my therapist for her thoughts on dating. She declared me ready based on numerous discussions of where my head was, and most importantly, how clear it was of my ex. I thought about it long and hard and ran it by my sisters and even my sons. So, I took the plunge in mid-February on Christian Mingle, since my faith is important to me, and I've been seeing a woman since then after going on dates with a few others. So far, so good. We're taking it very slowly. What I find so amazing is the difference in communication from my ex. We've talked about difficult, important topics regarding relationships even early on. Things that my ex and I never really discussed, but should have. I mentioned that to my son, and he jokingly said, "Well, she's not a brick wall, is she?" referencing his mother's inability to open up to anyone. Therapy taught me a lot in terms of communication, boundaries, and expectations. The woman I'm seeing also suggested I read the 5 Love Languages book, and it was eye-opening. My ex and I were clearly on different pages on that, and she never hit mine. Now, in retrospect, maybe I didn't hit hers, though again, with her lack of openness, I'm not sure what those were. This lady and I are both very self-aware, and I think that's why we've communicated so well. I feel like I have a good radar for narcissistic traits and red flags, and I'm watching things very carefully, with it looking good at this point. She even said to me, "Talk to me if anything I do gives you concerns, and we will discuss it like adults." How refreshing. If someone told me over the summer last year that I'd be where I am now at this point, I would not have believed them. Therapy cost me a ton of money, doubling up for a while there, but it was very well spent. No matter what happens relationship-wise for me, I am a better person for it. It worked wonders in removing the trauma and gave me tools to be a better partner, to choose better, and to not tolerate bad behavior from another, even if it is as subtle as the silent treatments I got now and then from my ex. She has no idea how easy it would have been to fix any possible valid issues in our marriage with the proper tools. Her loss. Anyway, thanks again to everyone for all of their help. I have no way to repay you, but thank you from the bottom of my heart, and God bless you all. I don't think I'm in a position to really contribute yet, as I don't want to think about infidelity at this point, but there will come a time. However, if anyone wants to point a newbie to this thread and show them what is possible when they are in the darkest place of their lives, please do so. It's a long read, but even I marvel at my own progression through